Hi, it's JC at Motorcycle Superstore, and this is a really cool handguard from Acerbis. It's called their Vision Handguard. It's going to give you better vision. One, it's going to illuminate your way better because it has LED lights in it, but it's also going to allow you to be seen from oncoming traffic as well. This is designed for off-road use. We see a very, very universal appeal here. It's designed to be that way, so you can get these on essentially any type of motorcycle, adventure, street, dual sport, whatever it might be, but you need to do your own checking around. Check your local, your state laws, and make sure that it's legal to use these for highway use. Now that we've got that out of the way, the construction here is made from plastic. It's a rigid material, however, it does have an aluminum backbone that adds rigidity as well. If you'll notice, this is not a full wraparound style. It mounts to the end of your handlebar using these expansion bolts. Here's a good example of that here. However, once this mounts up on the back, you're going to find that it is a little short, stubby side, so it doesn't actually tie into the handlebar again, but that's going to give you a lot more protection against roost, small debris like that, and of course wind and rain that might be coming at you as well. Now, the nuts and bolts of this thing really lie in the LED components. These are LED lights, which mean one, they take very little electricity, 4 watts per side, so any bike should be able to run them very easily, but also you're going to get nice, bright illumination from them. Combined, it's supposed to be 300 lumens total, so that's going to give you an extra amount of light that's really nice to have. As far as wiring them up, you trim these things to length. They're a little bit long because they are universal. You mount them up to a switch mechanism, which is located here. That's going to be stuck on your handlebar at some point. You can see the housing piece for it over here. You put it all together, and the thing that you're going to have to do is figure out how to tie it to the battery. So you'll need a little bit of an extra piece of wire. I'm going to show you how all that looks right now. We're going to mount this up on a bike and give you some installation tips on how to get this thing set up. Before we delve into the handguards too much, there's a few things to think about. Notably, how are you going to route the wire systems that need to be connected into the switch? Where is that switch going to be mounted on your handlebars? Now, the first thing that Acerbis wants you to do is to cut the wires to length before you install the guards, which in my mind is a pretty bad set of directions. You need to get these things put on first. That way you can figure out where exactly your wires are going to go. And in this case, I would like it to look pretty clean. We're going to try to route the wires along existing cables so that they look factory. We also have picked up an extra bit of wire. We've matched it up. It's going to be black so that the colors don't stand out. And actually, we're going to mount the switch over here on the left-hand side, which is right next to the normal high-low beam. So you can handle your standard lights and your auxiliary lights with the same motion. Now, one of the things to note on the Vision is that it does not come with the extra wire. That's something you have to have laying around or get from a hardware store. However, that piece or the pieces that you'll be using for that are going to route to your battery. And on this bike, the battery is located here underneath this cowling up front. Most of them will be located further back, so you're going to need to consider how much wire you need, also the route that you're going to take for those pieces of wire as well. Now that we have that sort of laid out, we'll go ahead and get these things finalized and then start connecting the wires. It's time for the moment of truth when we actually cut the wires coming out of the handguards. Now here's the deal. Basically what we have is a switch mechanism here that we've located on the left-hand side of the bar, but really inside of here, inside this junction box, there's not a lot of space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the power wires, which are the red wires from both handguards. Those will come into it, as well as the main power wire, which comes from the battery up into the box as well. So that's 3 wires going in, and that's going to be a tight fit. There's no way I could really manage the negative wires in there as well. So I'm going to have to split those off, run them down the handlebars away, and create another junction. What that means is, in terms of this left side bar, I cannot cut it short. I'm going to give myself a little extra space so that this can actually run down, and I will trim my power wire a little bit shorter here and make that fit properly. It takes a little bit of planning before you start snipping things, so make sure you give yourself enough time and enough thought, double check your work before you go ahead and cut these things off. Installation on the Vision guards was a little bit more difficult than what we would consider for a standard set of hand guards or protectors. However, running the wires really isn't that difficult. I'm not great at electrical, and I was able to figure it out The important thing here, make sure you route them properly before you start cutting wires. And remember to mount these up loosely so it's going to keep these things in the proper place. Once that's done, getting it into the switch was actually the most difficult part. There's really not a lot of room inside the housing. So what that means is the connections are pretty delicate. Also, you have to route just the positive cables inside. The negatives you have to route outside. There just simply isn't room for it. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. Now we have better vision. We can adjust these left and right as well, which we'll do once we get some time on the road. But overall, let me know your thoughts on the Vision handguards and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more product videos.